About a year ago, someone who is very influential in my life was arrested for having sexual relations with a minor. He was put in jail and is awaiting trial as we speak. If he gets convicted and put into prison, he can face up to 60 years in prison. For those that don't know, the prison system can be very, very grueling on prisoners, even if the crime that they committed was not violent and if they don't have any prior convictions. The prison system we see today only encourages recidivism, as according to healthypeople.gov, within 3 years of release, 2 out of 3 people who were arrested are rearrested. And more than 50% of those people are incarcerated again. This begs the question, what are we doing wrong? And why is the recidivism rate so high? And the answer is really simple. Our prison system is based on punishment, not reform. Now, the World Economic Forum sent a man, and his name was Mendy Mueller, and he went with a few others to study the Norwegian prison system and mark their findings in an article, which he wrote himself. And when they did this experiment, the Mueller et al. Experiment, what happened is they studied randomly picked cases of Norwegian criminals by the judge they got. So they sorted it by the judge they got, and then from then on, they picked the cases. And what happened was they found two key findings when they studied Norway's prison system in general. And the two things were that Norwegian imprisonment only discourages further criminal behavior, and two, that the reduction in crime compared to the United States was driven by people who were not working prior to incarceration. Now, this is very important because in Norway, the experiment found that incarceration lowered the probability that an individual would reoffend within 5 years by 27%. That the imprisonment in Norway caused a 34% increase in job participation programs, and within 5 years, the employment rate of convicted criminals increases by 40%, and at the same time, the likelihood of convicts reoffending, it cuts it by half. A few of the things that Norway is doing to get these results is having shorter times in prison, more freedoms and responsibilities while in prison, having educational drug treatment, job training, and mental health programs while in prisons, and having post-release support for these convicts so they can reintegrate into society after their sentence is over. This all leads to one of the lowest recidivism and arrest rates in the world, unlike America. The NIGA even says that in multiple studies, educational programming positively affects recidivism and post-release employment rates. However, nothing is being done to put this into effect at all. And the NIGA also uses several studies to say this, including a study from Davis and colleagues who studied previous studies and found that participation in educational programming reduced the odds of recidivism by 43%, and that participating in a secondary degree program, it yielded a 30% decrease in post-release employment by recidivism. They also found that participating in educational programming, that increased the odds of post-release employment by 13%. And our prison system obviously needs reform, and we need to do it sooner rather than later. And to those who say that the people who commit crimes will not learn for reoffending, I beg to differ. According to the OpenStack psychology textbook, operant conditioning can take the form of 4 different types of reinforcement or punishment, a few that some of you may know. One of them is positive reinforcement, negative reinforcement, positive punishment, and negative punishment. Positive reinforcement is something that is added to increase a behavior. Negative reinforcement is something that is added to decrease a behavior. Positive punishment is something that is added to increase a behavior. And negative reinforcement is something that is added to decrease a behavior. Now, positive, when we are talking about positive punishment and all this stuff, what we are seeing is that when we're stripping away a person's freedom, we condition them through negative punishment, not positive punishment, but negative punishment, that they don't want to commit that crime again. If we don't allow criminals to reintegrate into society, then we do not give them the chance to learn what is right from what is wrong, and not to commit the crime again. It is simple psychology. Instead, we punish them way too harshly, and when they cannot get a job out of prison, they tend to commit a crime again to have to feed themselves or their family or whoever they care about. To get our point across to convicts that they should not do this crime that they have committed, we don't need to punish them. Instead, we need to reform them to the right way of life, or else they will keep on doing the bad behaviors. There are obviously some people that will not understand this and will just keep on committing crimes, whether they are reformed or punished. But the majority will take to being reformed and being allowed back into society. Now that we know that we need to reform prison and we need reformation treatment, how do we do it? We need more educational programming, job training, drug treatment, and mental health programs, and we need post-release support for convicts. Now, I'm not saying to go full Norway, because we're not Norway. We're a different nation. What I am saying is that we need to make our prison system a little bit like Norway if we want less crime. The studies have shown that for convicts to have better lives outside of prison, we need to reform them in the ways that I say. So to summarize, we talked about the American recidivism, why they're so high, and the arrest rates, why they're so high as well, that Norway's prison system is so much different from America's, and how reformation is beneficial for everyone, according to multiple scientific and governmental sources, and how basic psychology backs everything up, and what we need to do as Americans to put our nation back into place. So what I say is to go out and do something about this, people. Thank you so much, and have a good day.